Welcome back to week 3 of our Advent celebration. This week, our focus is on the light of joy. Hey, listen, God is seriously interested in our lives being marked by joy. Joy is a fruit of the Spirit, and the Bible talks a lot about joy. In fact, the Greek word for joy appears 59 times in the New Testament. Then if you add rejoice, you get another 78 times of joy, just in the New Testament alone. But what is joy? Well, let me take you back a few thousand years, all the way back to the Old Testament, where we find the Israelites choosing a path apart from God. And as a result, they get exiled from their land and dominated by foreign nations. It is a pattern we see over and over again throughout the Old Testament. But there is also another pattern we see throughout the Old Testament, a pattern of longing for joy, a longing for something that was more than a feeling, a longing for something that would last, because their pursuit of worldly desires, of worldly happiness, could not fulfill them. It only left them empty and hopeless. And in those moments, they would turn back to God and cry out to Him, realizing that their own desires could not satisfy them. And so all throughout the Old Testament, you see this pattern of longing for joy. Hey, we see it in David's life after he sins against God. And he cries out to God in Psalm 51, asking God to restore the joy of his salvation. We see in Psalm 126, the nation of Israel longing to be restored. And it says in verses 1 through 3, "When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dream. Then our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongue with shouts of joy. Then they said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us." The prophet Isaiah knew that sorrow would not have the final word. In fact, he prophesied about this everlasting joy in Isaiah 51:11. And he looked forward to the one who would bring this endless joy. And all the prophecies, all the longing for joy was fulfilled in the birth of Jesus. In Luke chapter 2, an angel of the Lord appears to some shepherds out in the field, and it says this in verse 10. "And the angel said to them, 'Fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all the people.'" The word used here for good news, and some translations even say good tidings, but it's the same word used for the gospel. It's as if the angel said this, "I bring you the gospel, Jesus Christ. He is born for you. He will live for you. He will die for you. He will be resurrected for you, and He will be glorified for you." Listen, in God's grace, He provides us with joy. Joy that can only be found in the Savior. The longing that the Israelites had for joy that could not be fulfilled by their own desires was fulfilled in Jesus. The longing that you and I have for joy that cannot be fulfilled in our own desires, that cannot be fulfilled through a bunch of presents at Christmas, that cannot be fulfilled by anything this world has to offer, is fulfilled in Jesus. It's the good news of Jesus Christ that results in great joy. See, the light of joy that we celebrate at Christmas is much more than just happiness or the enjoyment of a fun moment of life. True joy can literally be defined as this: living in the awareness of grace and favor. So what grace and favor do I speak of? It's the grace and favor of God, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us so that we may have life. We can have joy in Him both now and in eternity. A joy that is given by God and can never be taken away. This is the joy we celebrate. This is the joy we as followers of Jesus live in. And here's the thing. This joy is available to all people, not just some. This is grace upon grace. I pray that you recognize, and I pray that you live in the awareness of that grace, and that it sparks you to tell others the good news of great joy. Merry Christmas.